right, y'all, before we start, because some of y'all be tripping, under the advice of counsel, I got to add that the views, thoughts, opinions that are expressed on this podcast are mine and mine alone. They do not represent my employer. All right, let's go.
Because I was like, damn, do we really want to get into this discussion? Because if we get into this discussion right here, y'all.
Hey, y'all, welcome back. Before we get started, let me say today's sponsor, give a shout out to today's sponsor, the Tutoring Connection. Y'all know summertime is here. Them STAR scores just came out. Y'all might want to check y'all kids' math and reading levels and holler at the Tutoring Connection if your child needs some assistance. We are here to help you. All right. Today is the end of the year, first day of summer. How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling?
All right. Summertime.
Oh, Lord, you sound good. You was trying to check with your voice earlier.
Vocals on 7.
That's good for you?
7 is crazy.
7 is crazy. But I got a bunch of my teacher friends here today. We're going to do a bonus episode in the year summer happy hour. We got the drinks flowing up in the studio. We got the Gringos. Shout out to Gringos for today's meal. And we got some conversations ready to get into, guys. So first of all, the first thing I want to talk about is crazy. Who's been following the Marlin High School situation? Y'all know about Marlin High School? First of all, do y'all know what Marlin High School is? Where Marlin, Texas is?
I just learned where it is from you today, but I have seen it on the news and got some intel. But why don't you start and give us the info?
So what I hear, and first of all, let me say this, that Marlin is about 30 minutes outside of Waco, Texas. Waco, Baylor, College of Medicine, yes. Baylor Bears. 30 minutes outside of Marlin, Texas. That is where my ex-husband is from.
Shout out to you, homie. You did it.
Out.
You're the man.
He survived Marlin High School. And if I tell you guys that when I saw that news story, why is she over here crying laughing? Because she already know. When I saw that news story about Marlin High School, it just made me understand so much about my ex-husband. I was like, I almost wanted to call him and be like, you know what, homie, I'm so sorry. Because now I understand. It makes sense. But Marlin High School, 38 seniors were supposed to graduate. It's a very, very small town. You blink, you drive through, you blink, you miss it. 38 seniors were supposed to graduate. Only 5 of them were eligible to graduate. So they said, nobody gonna graduate. So instead of graduating right now, we're gonna postpone the graduation until June in hopes that you guys get your shit together.
Wait. The graduating.
The
class was 38.
38. Yes, a very small school, very small town.
So that means 29 didn't graduate. No, my math is totally wrong. What is it? I've been drinking.
I don't know.
I'm 35 minus 29.
Math. We got
no,
5 math teachers in the
35 minus what? It's 30.
How many kids were supposed
It's
to
only 30. 38, 33. 33 couldn't graduate. There's my math.
That was first grade math.
It don't matter. I didn't
All
teach
right.
that
Anyway,
shit.
so so they're not graduating. They're not graduating because of attendance, and they are not graduating because of credits. And so
Where did you go? It's a small town. Where could they hide?
you just wouldn't come to school. You wouldn't come to school. And when you were at school, you weren't doing no work. So now it's the end. And this is where it gets crazy because they did a news report because, of course, this story has gone viral. And so all the news reporters are going to this small-ass town in Central Texas and trying to ask, like, what's going on? What happened here? You got parents that are saying it's the school's fault. The school is just now telling us that our kid did not graduate or my kid was not eligible to graduate. And you got the students blaming the school saying, we didn't know. And so a lot of us are like, nah, hold up. That's crap. If nothing else there's a school is going to do, we're going to over-communicate with y'all. So everybody knew. So then the whole conversation becomes, who's to blame? Who's to blame? Thoughts?
I mean,
Pause. Did we give you a nickname? Can I call you Bio Babe?
wow, I don't really know what that means, but I will allow you.
I mean, because y'all like
makes you happy.
Don't you teach some type of like high level ass science?
Ooh, so when you said bio babe, I was thinking like Instagram bio, and I was like,
oh,
scandalous.
I was.
She's on summertime right now.
You
She's
are
not on
summertime,
education
you're not
at all.
education. Yeah, but
we will accept bio babe.
we'll accept Bio Babe. All right, let's get it.
I was just saying that I'm gonna have to call a little bit of the parents' bluff because school funding comes from attendance, and so there's probably a very slim chance that the school wasn't making any efforts to make sure the kids come, and so there's probably some discrepancies in the story.
In the story, like the kids lying and the parents lying too.
Yeah,
that's a pretty way of trying to say it.
Well, in addition to that, it really doesn't add up that they didn't have any kind of credits because there's all kinds of credit recoveries and teachers sign off on tutorials and get this fake signature and lots of ISDs, and so I just don't understand how that could happen.
You said fake signatures. You sound like a high school person. I talk about that all the time about how one thing about Texas and Texas high schools is that they are going to drag these kids by the teeth across the stage because they do not want their graduation rates.
So I had
low.
the blessing of encountering a solid amount of seniors who also do not attend school the majority of the time, and the hoops and bounds and jumps that these ISDs make to make sure that they are making these kids cross the stages.
It's crazy.
It is
My
what it
question
is.
is, if it's a small town of 38 who were supposed to graduate and 5 are only currently gonna graduate, where's everybody at? There's only 38 kids.
That's what I want to.
Like-
Where are they hanging out?
Like,
at?
where you hanging out?
They at home.
And
Where
nobody
they
knows.
mamas
First of all, the town literally is about the size of this room.
So-
like when I tell you that's probably one of the most miserable parts of my marriage is when you had to go back and visit. Like when it was like family reunion time for them, and it was like, damn, I gotta go to this place because it just.
So you open up the window and you stick your head out the door and go, "Hey, come over and come into school."
That's how small it is.
I exactly. So like Bio, what's she called?
Bio Babe.
Bio Babe. She's pretty, fellas. If y'all wondering, I'll give you a that, and that made her smile.
She said it was okay for us to post her picture too.
Hey, there you go. Summertime fun.
Check out Bio Babe on Ridgemont's Finest Instagram. She looks good.
It's so much that just doesn't make sense. It's 38 kids.
Yeah.
So that starts in 9th grade.
Where's the star scores?
No, but where's the guidance counselor? One person and 38 kids. That's fine. We all teach classes with 30 kids in them. So let's just say it's one person or two people to these 38 graduating seniors. Who's keeping track?
Do they have a guidance counselor?
They do. And
Don't we do home visits?
we
in
do
this
all of these
city.
things. But here's the thing: all of these people that y'all are talking about were on the news. So they had this meeting with the parents in the auditorium, right? So the parents got the news cameras there. So now they're all like, "Nah, it's outrage, and we can't believe that you just not tell us we got family flying in from here and there to come see this graduation with 38 kids." And nobody told us. And so now the guidance counselor is saying, no, parents, we've contacted you. And I believe that TEA, like you said, funding, these people are doing their job in some way, shape, or form. So they're like, no, parents, we've called you. We've given your kids multiple opportunities to come and do credit recovery. We've given them multiple opportunities to come in and make their attendance hours up on Saturdays. And y'all kids just ain't come. And y'all didn't make them come. So here we are.
I will also say, just because I like to play devil's advocate and try and see everybody's sides.
Always. I hate
So
that shit be pissing me
I
off.
do have family that's from Moody, Texas, which is right outside of Waco, just another small town. And I also have taught in another small town, and priorities are a lot different there.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in an area where priorities are, I need you to work because we need to keep these lights on and all kinds of other things. Like, yes, it's why would you not tell me that my kid's not going to graduate? But at the same time, if you go over here and work this job, now we have more for the household. And so I'm sure that it's easy to say it's the school's fault, but at the same time, priorities are priorities. And so if it's the lights versus you going and getting the school hours, it
What's the
doesn't weigh the
demographic?
same.
The demographics, I think I looked up, I think it said 57% Hispanic.
Your husband Hispanic? No, I'm messing with you.
No, he's not.
I know. I've seen your children.
You see my children. Can we Google, can somebody Google the demographics of Marlin, Texas?
I can't find it.
It's just a lot going on.
It's a lot going on. But here's the thing also. A lot of conversation that was going on was saying that the poverty rate was extremely high. So it goes back to what Bio Babe was saying about priorities and the parents maybe not having the knowledge. I don't want to say intelligence. That's not what I'm trying to say. The knowledge to help their kids.
Are you ready
we got
for the demographics?
Demographics. Let's go, Bio
Yeah,
Babe.
it's 50% black, 47% white.
Oh,
and
I was real
then
off.
really low on everything else. But I will say, in that area, that kind of makes sense. So the town that I was referring to before is pretty much exclusively one race, and then the next town over is pretty much exclusively another race. And so it makes sense that there would be another town that's a combination of the two. But with that being said, like when I was teaching in a area where it was predominantly, lower income, it was at a Title I school, and I taught seniors. And so I had low attendance in my class. And so when the kids would come into my class, I had a kid that would tell me, hey, miss, I'm living in my mom's car right now that she loaned me, and I don't have, I can't, I have to find some way to make this money so that I can buy an apartment for me and my girlfriend because she's pregnant.
Right.
And when you are trying to survive, your priority is not going to school. What's the little pyramid where you have to meet this need?
Maslow.
Yeah, that's real
Yeah,
life when
yeah.
it comes to school. So it adds up.
This girl, don't get hungry. It's food over there. But yeah, that's real life. So now when it comes to here, this is where we are. Do you guys think it's fair that they have postponed the graduation for the 5 that handled their business and did what they were supposed to do?
Are they still going to be able to go to college in August?
I'm sure.
Then why does it matter?
Because I live in Marlin, and Marlin
Right.
International Airport got 2 planes and my family coming down.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
me and my 4 other friends gonna walk across this
Yeah.
I
stage
mean,
because
maybe a
we.
better decision would be 2 graduations, but at the end of the day, like,
Hey, I can get that graduation
You don't have to
sponsored.
have the same opinion.
I'm walking across the stage. We made it. Yeah, my gal
you
pregnant.
can walk
yeah.
across the street in your.
Well, once again,
just saying.
I
stand where I stand.
I'm with it, but I'm like, look, if my child graduating and I know his 34 other friends didn't graduate and all their names, you know what? I love y'all too. I'll show up to y'all's. But right now, this guy about to walk across this stage, I'm going to yell with the other 6 people sitting in this auditorium or gymnasium or whatever thing they have out there. And then he'll come to yours because I'm like, wait a minute. Like we all know, when we were little, it was like you didn't bring enough gum for the class. You punish everybody. It don't work like that no more. So I always say, ask yourself, if your kids are going to graduate and all of a sudden they can't because other people, for whatever reason, did not do what they needed to do, whether it was the village, whether it was the people that were in the village, whoever, hey, I'm going to wait till June.
Well, in today's culture, everybody gets an award.
I'm
at
so
the
glad
same
you brought
time.
that up. But before we move on to that,
We walking.
go ahead.
Yeah, rare, but I agree with him. Like honestly, I witnessed what's before Star? Tax. I remember when tax came about and kids couldn't graduate high school. I witnessed a graduation take place, and then they had like maybe a couple of rows back, and they allowed those students to walk. And they made a clear announcement that these students have not completed the requirements that was given by the state.
Public humiliation.
However,
They said it in front of
yes,
at the
yes,
graduation?
yes.
Oh.
However, we would like to give them this opportunity of walking across the stage in hopes that they would complete the state assigned requirements.
That seems fair.
And it was just
I don't like the announcing of their.
Yeah.
but you have to.
I understand 2 separate graduations. That's fine to
That's
me.
not college.
I mean, graduate at 2 separate times or whatever he had said. But like in terms of not graduating that many kids, I don't.
But
I ain't
then you
with
got
it.
to also think about it, like he said. Okay, yes, small town culture, but that's where they get their athletes from. And if you know anything about, D1 programs, what you doing? You going to school, summer school in the summertime,
Yeah, I
because
was
you got to
just
go
about to say
commit to
that.
that program. So
Yeah.
how is it fair to me that I've done everything? And we're coaches here too, right? So we don't believe in the participation ribbon.
I
We
mean,
don't.
How many 3A schools do you see end up on D1 teams?
It
Let's
don't
be realistic.
matter. What
2A,
our boss
1A.
was saying is the participation level. Did you just take?
I don't feel like they should postpone the graduation. And also, I feel like they didn't fulfill the obligation, so why have a separate graduation for them? Mail their diplomas to them.
She has a name that I can't say, but the second part is don't play.
Don't play.
I don't care what grade level she teach. 2 + 2 is 4. You better know that. I don't know it. Get on out of here. Get out of this advanced math class. I'm only 6.
And she smells like.
And she smells good.
She smells like.
Hey fellas, you're not in here, but even ladies, I know we do a little different stuff nowadays. She smells so good. I don't know what it
Be
is.
canceled. They've been canceling teachers all week on social media.
Doesn't matter to me. She smells good.
I don't want to be. And he's talking about Beaumont's finest. Hello.
That's her name, being
Hello,
Beth.
I am here.
She's here. So speaking of participation trophies, let's talk about awards day. How was everybody's awards day? Those people that teach elementary, middle school, not my high school people don't fool with awards day. But man, awards day, we had some parent emails, parent bullies, mad because their kids didn't get awards at awards day. Like pissed off that their kids didn't get an award and their kids didn't get
one participation award.
We said completion. You got to complete.
completion. So 8th grade got a completion certificate. Everybody got an award. But when it came down to things like, why you tearing up shit up in the studio? I can't afford anything up in here. Don't. That's Sasha Fiercest over there tearing up shit.
Sorry, we took shots before we started airing.
They
so I
did, they
blame-
did.
Oh,
They did. But you came in and
okay.
doubled up and caught up with us.
So I blame them.
But so we had things like Fantastic Writer or ELA, what's the bunch of stuff that they were making us make up in order for kids to feel like they were successful in something. And so even with that, like they told us, I know for 8th grade, they said, hey, each teacher needs to pick you get 2 awards per class. So pick 2 kids out of each of your 6 classes to get some arbitrary award that they made up so that can go in their folder. And then any other thing that you wanted to make up for the kids. And so you got a class of 30, but you're only allowed to pick 2 of those kids. So you pick somebody that you feel is deserving. But then a parent who feels like their child may have been more deserving for whatever reason is emailing you, threatening your life because their kid didn't get a fantastic performance in ELA class certificate. So it goes to the whole argument, like, do you guys think that every kid, especially we're talking about secondary, I understand elementary because, they're still sensitive. Their feelings are still, I don't know. But secondary, should every single kid get some type of award? We're talking about self-esteem, self-efficacy. Should every kid get a participation trophy?
No.
No.
No?
I don't believe anybody deserves. So if you earn, let's say you completed the 6th grade and we
Okay.
have a 6th grade award show, that's fine. I'm cool with
Did
that.
you just burp on the mic, bro? What
No,
the hell?
I tried to cover my laugh, but
That was Bio Babe, guys. So she's fine and she belches like a
not a burp. I
She
was
burped.
trying really hard not to laugh.
No, that was like
I don't mind as long as you complete it. So
Okay.
if that's what your folder has, 7th grade completion, 8th grade completion,
Okay.
because that's actually what you did.
right.
That's actually what you did. So I have no problem with that. Now, when a parent gets mad because their child didn't, I don't believe in fair. I believe in right and wrong, and you earned it.
Okay.
Because when you play sports, and I always tell kids this, did the basketball go into the hoop? And they go, no. I said, well, it's not 2 points. If the ball didn't go past the line, it's not a touchdown. So why would I give you full credit for half credit? So as long as it's something they completed, I'm fine with them doing it. If you have complaints, I say tell parents the truth. My child didn't get any awards. Well, they didn't earn any awards. And how can
These
you
kids
argue?
don't want to hear that.
I don't want to hear a lot of stuff, but I grew up a black man in America, so I'll be okay. You'll be okay. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I feel that.
It's like, because what are we gonna do here? Because if we do that, it's like every day is a holiday. Every day is nacho day, drink day, pinky toe day. We got all these awards.
Yeah.
As long as you earned it, I don't mind. I'll even say your name twice. Best socks, you got it, brother.
I also don't really co-sign subjective awards. I'm really like math and statistics minded. So like what you said, you completed the 6th grade. You had the highest GPA. You scored the most points in over the season. You got the most 100s on your test. All of those make sense to me. But where the teacher, no offense to any teachers out there, but where the teacher gets to say, you were my favorite. Like, I don't really feel like that award should exist. So
Or
like
best smile, just to create an award for a kid to
Exactly.
have.
That doesn't make sense to me. I don't
Wait,
like
okay,
it.
whoa, okay,
best
pause.
smile?
Her baby just won best
Wait a
smile.
minute.
I'm not saying that, but your baby was also National Junior Honor
To
Society
be fair,
athlete, all of that.
Her child was voted best smile
Voted.
by the
Those-
masses. That is
those are
statistics.
superlatives.
Amen.
She
Those
scored
were superlatives
best smile.
by her peers. So
But
that's not
being
yeah.
told that you need to create an award where you pick, no offense to whoever has this award, but you pick your favorite student in your 3rd period.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't add up to me, and I don't believe in it. Period. Nobody should get it, and then you won't be able to get the emails because I can show you this is the data. This is what was collected.
Right.
This is why the child received it. Your child didn't get the votes, so talk to your kid about
She
self-esteem
watched
and
Bill,
move on.
not a science guy. That's where she get her statistics from.
And did.
And did.
And got degrees and jobs. So check me, baby.
Her. So what about organizations when it comes to organizations? Things like National Junior Honor Society, National Honor Society, Student Council, class president, things like, well, those things aren't voted on. So when you have those organizations that consist of selection based on a panel, right? So like, I don't know, I'm gonna use National Junior Honor Society, where you have to meet like 3, 4, 5 bullet points of criteria in order to be accepted. And then when the people are chosen or announced and your kid is not one that is chosen, and here you go saying, hey, why wasn't my kid chosen? My kid did A, B, C, and D. And I looked up the bylaws to the national program and it says A, B, C, and D. Why wasn't my kid selected?
Now I'm a fan of that
Okay.
because I just had to, during certain selection process, I dealt with a parent who I do know, and he asked me a question. I was like, because I think, first of all, if you have something that somebody can earn and they meet the requirements for it, and let's remember this, slick trickery. I don't care if you don't like that kid. If that kid earned it,
Facts.
I'm not talking about deserve. If that kid earned it, then you say, hey, so what? I don't care how many referrals they had and all that. Not unless you got a behavior bylaw, but if that's not in your bylaw, then you got to show me black and white, like 3 ISSs and 4 detentions and went to adapt. But hey, if they can do all that, still juggle them grades and get in. So I dealt with that recently, and I was like, yo, okay, I'll be the person that is that sponsor for that child, because why not?
Is behavior not a criteria for National Junior Honor Society?
So
I'm
here's what
curious.
would be the problem for that. When I was in school, if you got sacked, that's how old I am.
Damn.
They have SAC now.
Yeah, they still have SAC. But when you were in SAC, your behavior affected your academics. So you didn't get the classwork that was happening in class. You got zeros for that. It was like, yo, you fooled around over here. What we said, the right and responsibility, the other episode. So now if that's the case and how we're going to do ISS, that now they have to have the work so they don't suffer a penalty because of their behavior, then why is behavior even an issue then?
But if you are a behavior issue, a constant behavior issue, are you a good person to represent a campus's organization? Can we be real?
If you're not, then you should write that in the bylaws of the organization. But if you don't set a behavioral standard throughout the organization, then you can't pick and choose based on behavior.
When you want to apply
Exactly.
the rule.
Because let's say that Johnny A has bad behavior, but his bad behavior based on the sponsor of the club is, allowable. But then Johnny B has the same GPA, same grades, same referrals, same references, same checkpoints. And then behavior B is, worse subjectively based on the sponsor of the club. That's not fair. So then it needs to be standards, statistics written into the bylaws of that organization.
So when we talk about 3, 4, 5 bullet point, like criterion points that the kids need to be able to accomplish in order to be accepted into the organization, let's say one of those things is like an interview, all right? The kids have to do a video interview. And the people that are on the panel have a rubric in which they score the kids based on their interview. And the kid may have met every other GPA, volunteer work, community service, whatever, all these other things. But when it came down to their interview, they scored low, and they were scored low by the panel of people that were chosen to select them. But if that's one of the criterias, is that fair to say, hey, yeah, you didn't get in because?
Here's my deal about the fair word.
I know.
So I haven't been in middle school in 30 years.
Okay.
And we were taught to interview. Like, we are not as socially awkward and all these things we claim they are. So when is the last time a child, still a child, you're still a child. 18 is still a child, brain's not fully developed. So you're gonna sit 11, 12, 13-year-old, not making excuses for them, but they don't even look up. How many, if you take, you know what, you wanna punish your kid, take their phone. Make a child look up. We were talking about something earlier, pre-podcast about whatever. So, okay, he killed it here, killed it there, did all of this. What if that child has autism, Asperger's?
Gonna say that, but I don't
And they're
a little
not,
scared.
and they're not socially there because I'm gonna guarantee it. I'll say 40% of them aren't there. Are they ready to interview? Have they sat in an AVID class and been taught to interview? And now I'm sitting in front of this panel and I'm going, okay, I'm ready for this one. I'm ready for that one. I need to answer these full questions. And I'm fine for that. If that's what you set forth and that makes or break a child, we have to talk about the tiebreaker. Because I can interview well. I mean, I have all the degrees. Is that subjective or objective? Because you know both what those mean.
Ask the English teacher.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, what was your question? I'm sorry. The English
Subjective,
teacher, the English
objective.
teacher is a little tipsy. What
Objective. I think the degrees are objective.
Objective
means like opinion.
factual based.
All right.
Subjective is opinions.
Yeah, I'm not like I know.
So objective is like it can be backed up by numbers, statistics, data.
Everybody's here looking at everything. Bio, what is her name?
Bio-based.
Yeah,
Bio-based,
and
keep
in
saying all
science,
those
we call
words
it
with syllables.
Quantitative and
Quantitative,
qualitative.
yes.
Quantitative and qualitative, I understand. Subjective and objective, it's a little English.
That's a little me. What you got? What did we call you the last time? What was your name the last time?
Queen Charlotte.
Queen Charlotte. That's right. She's been walking around talking about Queen Charlotte for like 3 weeks now.
You know it. Prayers, sorrows, prayers. So hear me out.
Put your mouth
On it.
close to the mic.
Okay.
No, you're good at that.
Okay,
Real
no problem.
close to it.
Close to it.
Whisper.
So
into
really
it.
quickly, I heard y'all talking about a person's mental capacity to interview.
Don't get me canceled. The people getting canceled all
No, I said mental capacity.
Okay,
I
be
didn't
very
say
careful.
anything else.
They firing.
But hear me out. We're over the participation moments in education. We're over the, let's acknowledge everybody. I don't care how brilliant we are at this table. You cannot tell me that the first job you interviewed for was the current school that you're at right now. You or current occupation you have right now. You have been on interviews. You have been told no. You have been told yes. You have been told maybe. But bottom line is you continue to do and push towards what you want. And if we don't stop the standard of everybody gets this participation, this is my opinion. Simple. When does it start? We want to wait till it's too late? What I'm simply saying, y'all saying everybody checked every box, but one of the boxes is an interview. So if you don't check that box, did you check every box? Because the answer is going to be no. And it's not about me not liking you, and it's not about me saying that somebody else had a better interviewing than you. Because bottom line is there's spaces for everybody in this National Junior Honor Society. But if you couldn't check off this box or whatever organization you want to be a part of or whatever whatever organization you want to be a part of, if you cannot check off every box, then you're just not going to be a part of that. It's a lot of Greek people in this room right now. You know about boxes, you know what had to be checked off and what not checked off, and you know some of your friends just didn't make it. Guess what? It's okay. You're just not a part of that. Now you can keep going to become a part of an organization, but at what point do you actually start preparing these kids for it? Because right now, if we just keep saying, well, what about this and what about that? Yeah, some things do have stipulations. I agree wholeheartedly. Maybe somebody was sick that day and they didn't participate well, or maybe something else happened. But if you were there and able to participate and you just didn't meet the criteria, guess what? You just didn't meet the criteria. Just keep pushing towards what you're trying to reach.
About my spine, what you got?
So I totally
Smelling like you
forgot
smelling.
that I have served on 2 National Junior Honor Society advisory committees. So we do have a rubric on what is for their application, like interview, the application completed, and things like that. So as a committee, we get multiple people to go and look at the same applicants and see how we score them. So if we score them differently, then we will pull a third person in and be like, can you view this and see what it is, so that we could be fair. So at the end, we come together and like, okay, who made the criteria? What was the cutoff as far as GPA? So when we see kids that barely made it, we go back and say, hey, let's look back at their application. Let's see if we miss anything.
Okay.
So there has been times when we have kids that have been here that we have bumped them up. There also have been times when people on the advisory committee had those kids in their classroom and were like, oh, they're immature. I don't think they'll be a
That's
good
not fair.
fit. So we'll go back and talk.
not a word.
Did they make we'll go back and talk, hey, well, did they meet the criteria? Are they able to do what they need to do? Also, National Junior Honor Society has principles, so therefore they have to uphold those principles. And if there are not a quality student or don't uphold those principles without being in National Junior Honor Society, why would we want them in the organization?
All right, come on, Mr. Mysterious, because you about to defend your
No, I'm good.
your student that you.
No. I knew that was about personal.
That was 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 personal.
I have no problems with that. You know, everybody has swayed me, but you know, you have that exercise in the gym. If you like Doritos, go to the right. If you like Cheerios, go to the left. Well,
Can I say this?
I'm in the middle. It's your podcast.
Can I say this? And this
Say
is
what you
going
want.
totally off the little bullet points that I have for us to talk about. But when you bring this particular situation up, it puts me in mind of other situations. How parents, whether they realize it or not, have the ability to mess their children up in so many aspects of schooling. If your parent is a consistent, and this is probably not very fair. I know you hate that word.
Equal, say equal.
It's not right. You don't like that word either.
I like
Anyway,
right.
Create an
I
even
like
playing
right.
field.
Right and wrong is good.
But if I am, let's say, the chair of an organization, right? I just so happen to be the chair of an organization, but I'm also the English department chair, right? And I have had to encounter this parent who has humiliated me, who has come to the school and talked down to me, degraded me, who's gone on these social media mom groups and blasted me and done all these things. And I know how a parent is. Do I want to, and it's not nothing against the kid, I hate to say it like that, but the parents, they don't realize how much they mess their kids up with their attitudes and with their behavior. And so I think with that particular situation, those parents were very well known across that corner of the city for their disrespect.
You know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely. You think I get them phone calls too?
Okay,
The
that's what I'm sure.
absolutely blatant disrespect, their disregard for educators. And so when it comes to now, it's time you need people to understand something fair for your child. People can't help, because we're human, can't
No
help
doubt.
but to go to the bank, to the vault, and remember all those times, you know, you were disrespectful, you were combative. And now it's like, damn, it's time for me to pull a favor for you. And I don't really feel like pulling a favor for you, because I remember how you talked to me last time in that parent meeting.
I'm just the guy. I'm like in spite of.
I just want to play a little bit of devil's advocate. 'Cause
You always
love
do.
to. I like to play both. I like to play both sides because I absolutely understand that as a teacher. And like, oh, you want to raise hell? Well, watch this. Like the Usher face. Watch this. But on the opposite side of it, as someone who recently had a parent just finish like, kindergarten, like I am that no, I'm not a person, but like, okay, so hear me out, right? As a parent, when you have administration on your side all the time, like you're raising hell, like you're causing these problems, and then whatever you're raising hell about gets fixed.
Absolutely.
I don't think you realize, the long-term effects of it. So if I'm raising hell that my student has an 85 and I think they deserve a 90,
Jesus.
and then you end up with that 90, but then your student down the road don't make the basketball team because the English teacher is the basketball coach and other things like that, you don't really correlate the two experiences. And granted, maybe that's not what's supposed to happen, but that's what happens, right? And so I think that because they get just like any other statistic, because you get that instant gratification that your child gets the grade, you don't realize the long-term effects of that small thing. So maybe your kid really deserved an 85 and you fought for that 90, but now your kid wants to play 4 months of basketball and they don't make the team. And statistically, I could pull, because I love statistics.
We know.
I can pull that sheet during tryouts and I can give you the numbers. Well, your kid didn't make the cut. Sorry. But those numbers come from that 85 to 90 back in the day. I would never do that though because I'm an amazing teacher and coach.
You are. We love that.
And she speaks so well.
And how long have you been teaching and coaching?
I don't know why you're trying to throw numbers out there because my experience is valid. But
Baby, no, I'm not. What if I was just trying to make a smooth segue into the next topic?
I'm the youngin' in the game,
She
but
is
I
the
am
youngin' in the
28 years old and I've been teaching since I was 21, so we're on year like 7.
That's beautiful.
Wait, but I want to say one more thing before we switch. Also,
you messed up the segue. Carry on.
Edit.
Now I feel like we gotta start over. Go ahead.
really, really quick on the merit scholar thing, I just had one student in mind when we were talking about the interview and everybody's taught that student. And I feel like there are certain students that would probably end up being the valedictorian that may not have the social skills to articulate themselves in the interview. And based on the way that they're scored, they may not make National Merit Scholar, Junior Merit Scholar, Honor Society. And I don't think that's fair. But moving on, I taught for 7 years.
That's beautiful. And I'm glad you brought that up because now I'm going to go back to that. I feel like there are some students who we know their circumstances. And so I think when you already know a student's circumstance, you highly consider that. You keep that in mind when you are looking at the data, because like that student that you just mentioned, everybody knows that student, but we know that that student is highly intelligent. We know that that student is well beyond capable of doing anything. He just has to work on social skills. But again, that's nothing that he can help. That's a part of his, I hate to say a disability, because even though I know it's technically called a disability, we know this kid is an amazing kid.
Ability.
It's ability. But I agree. But just like you said, but it goes back to what does that organization represent?
Yeah, because you were talking about, sororities and fraternities, and that's a social organization. So when we're talking about an academic organization.
I said an organization that you want to be a part of. You're going to do what it takes to be a part of that organization. And if you can talk about merit, that's great because what is it? It's community, scholar, leadership.
Of course, scholarship is
Scholar
part
as
of
well.
it.
So everything that may be another person's ability, it still can represent that organization. It doesn't mean that you don't know how to properly articulate that. But as you say, we can look at the statistics and see what that person provides.
No, I agree with the know-how.
Yeah, y'all getting kind of catty. Can we transition?
I still love her so very much.
Y'all,
but I agree
y'all been
with the
catty for like
know-how.
5 years.
The know-how, right? But sometimes you have certain circumstances that what you know doesn't really affect what you can do. Like you might have it, but you not be able to display
Yes, we know
it.
that what you know is not what you can do. We got it.
I know a lot, not do a lot.
Oh, Lord. Moving on. So 7 years teaching. Beaumont Spiners, how long you been in the game?
This was year 17.
Beautiful. Sasha Fiercest, how long you been in the game?
Thank you. This is year 10.
Year 10. Mr. Mysterious.
I received my plaque or paperweight for 15 years in the game.
That's what's up.
Year 13.
Year 13. What you got?
Year 17.
17. Damn, I feel like the elder,
of
the
mama.
with
The gray
the
hair.
grandma, the elder of the bunch, because I believe this. I've really lost count, but I know this is over 20 that I've been in the game. So I literally can say that if you go pull my teacher certification, you're gonna see the year 2000 on there somewhere. Yeah, you're gonna see the year 2000 on there. That's when I started. So I've
Let
been
the record show you started very young.
very young, very young. So when I was 17 years old, I've been receiving paychecks from an ISD since I was 17 years old. So I've been in the game for a minute. How long y'all think?
We're going to do that.
Oh.
Then, I too have been in the ISD since I
Yeah,
was 17.
that's because guess what? Guess when TRS
I mean, that is education.
and that's when TRS starts hitting. Like, if depending on how many years you worked as a para, though two for one. Well, I don't know. I'm under the rule of 70. I think y'all newbies under the rule of 80.
I never heard of that. So
Yeah,
I'm very
so
young.
yeah, you got a while to go. I'm not under that rule. I can get out a little bit sooner than the rest of you. Sorrows, prayers. But can y'all do 75 years?
No.
75 years.
Won't.
Y'all heard about the teacher in Georgia? I think it was somewhere in Georgia.
95.
She turned 95, and on her 95th birthday, she retired after 75 years.
So why couldn't she just wait to the end of the school year? That was my question. Like,
Did she not?
just wait to the year.
Wait,
end.
did she announce her? I think she announced her
Oh,
retirement.
okay, but she's gonna finish.
Yeah, damn, you
because
was
as a
like the late-
principal, I'm like, but can you
Can you finish the year? That's cute, but can you finish out?
If you are still teaching past 50 anything, if you're still teaching now past 40 anything, retire when you want. I'm out.
I'm out. We
Like, she
done.
literally put you. I'm not saying you war depends, whoever you are, and God, hey, give it to you.
Please don't.
She and rest in peace, Tina Turner.
Rest in peace, Tina Turner.
Yes, yeah, because Tina Turner's gone. But I mean, she's been teaching longer than Tina was. That's a long time.
That's a long time.
That's a lot of time. That's pencil sharpener before the crank. That's the old school. That's double unsegregation, right? There's a lot going
So
on
when I
in
read
Georgia.
her story, it says, and of course, you're a history person. 75 years ago was still some things going on in the schools. I'm not going there, but it said that she started teaching when she was in the 11th grade. I guess the rules were a lot different then. So she started. She started.
She taught herself.
She started teaching
Class of one.
when she was in the 11th grade.
What you talking about, Marlon? 38. We got
30,
one class of one. Was she black?
No, she was not.
Oh, well, I don't know. It's not, hey, listen, guys and young ladies. I'm the only guy on the panel here. It's okay to discuss what somebody is culturally or their phenotype. It doesn't mean we're being racy. So she was white.
She was.
A lot of growth.
A lot of growth.
A lot of growth.
A lot of growth.
She grew up. Mm-hmm. I wonder how many
she grew with
times.
the time.
I wonder how many times she said African American in her life.
Please be quiet.
Who's coming to this school? I'm just making a joke.
Because I don't want to get canceled. They're canceling people this
You're not
week
gonna
on
get
Teacher
canceled.
Talk. End of year activities complaints. Man, listen, going back to those Facebook groups, y'all, I think I absolutely loathe those Facebook groups that the made up, murderous moms of the woodlands. I just hate those groups because they always get in those groups and talk shit about
Come say it to my face. How about that?
they are so tough in those groups, and I hate them. And we have some people that infiltrate the groups and screenshot the messages in the post and send them in the group chat, and we be like, look at such and such mama. Look at such and such mama just said. And this year, maybe the past couple of weeks have been so frustrating, annoying to me because as the department chair, team lead, who's responsible for putting on a lot of the end of year activities and a lot of the during the year activities, and a lot of effort, a lot of work, a lot of sweat, sleepless nights go into planning this event. We got Beaumont's Finest who put on the most amazing dance last week. And to see all the hard work you're doing behind the scenes, and then people complain about the smallest shit, but ain't nobody getting in the field with us. I think that is so frustrating. I hate it. And I'm almost to the point, I think this year I was so frustrated that I think I told our leader, our fearless leader, hey, next year, why don't you establish a committee of parents and let the parents just come do all of this. Since they have all the answers in this Facebook group, you say no? Let them come in and let them come in and do, like, let them run their background
But
checks.
the school I'm at, that's what they do, and that stuff sucks. They made what could have been a good, memorable moment awful.
What made it?
Why
awful?
the DJ? I told him, hey, don't hire that DJ. Last year the kids did not like that DJ. Oh, it's okay, but he's in our price range. Okay, we're gonna just get him to make a list. But that DJ didn't go with that list. He was playing music from the 80s and the 90s,
Oh.
baby. And that makes the dance, the music, the kids moving around, not just sitting around. They need to give it back to the teachers. So I think that's just my opinion.
My simple thing is this: any complaint. First of all, I could care less. Problems are relative. If you're sitting at home, you have nothing to do, or if you're at work, I know the demographic. I know what price range and how much money our parents who support us in our district, what they do and how much they make. And if you have nothing to really complain about, you're going to find something to complain about. So when they send those complaints, you go, hey, thank you for your comments and concerns. We'll consider that for next year. And that's the blanket statement you give, and you move around because it's very simple. I don't do this for you, parent A and B. I do it for the kids. I heard not one complaint from the kids.
No, the kids are not complaining.
And where you had it in the package, like I called people from other schools and they were like, what are y'all doing? I heard y'all were doing this. I'm like, what are y'all doing? They're like, we don't have the money for that, or we didn't raise the money for that, or no one took initiative. So I don't mind having people who infiltrate and spy because it's good to have intel. But at the end of the day, I could care less because guess what? As you know, rest in peace to the administrator who's gone. He says all about the kids. So I don't need you to validate what I know I'm doing because I see the product. They came back to school. They didn't complain. They were dressed nice. Also, that on social media. So
They look so nice.
you know where they're not complaining on social media? They're complaining in person. Marlin, Texas. I'm dead serious. It might be some here and there, but they're working hard. And I'm not saying these people are not at work, but it's I have a lot of free time. Let me be a Twitter finger studio gangster. And then I've sat in meetings with everybody who has this in their signature, attorney at law, yada, yada, yada.
I hate that.
And I
Is that
sit,
supposed to make me bud?
and I sit and I look them in their eye and I watch their wife talk. And I go, but you, and then I just sit back. I don't say nothing. And then well, sir, I say, that is correct. And yes, that happened. Were we incorrect?
And did.
So I think that a lot of the parents go on and have questions because they don't know all the details. We just tell them the date and the time, and they want to know what's going to go on, who's going to be there, and things like that. So I think that is definitely an issue with most of their concerns. And also, what are their kids gonna get? What is my kid? How's my kid gonna be recognized? How is my kid gonna stand out? But I would like to encourage them to join the PTO.
Please.
And shout out to our PTO.
We have an
PTA.
amazing one.
Yes. They provided our decorations for our grand dance, and we expect to have a grand time next year.
A grander. Because one thing we gonna do at our school is we gonna stunt. We're going to stunt, and I'm so sorry. I know people hate that. I know people hate that about our school. It's because what you say they do, don't be a hater. Just come join.
I think we reflect the demographic.
We do reflect. One thing we are going to, I've mentioned this before on a TikTok video, is that we are going to make our principal shine. We are very competitive. I think we are all competitive people, and we bring out the competitive spirit in her. So we do want to show out. We do want to stunt.
She makes it easy.
She does make it easy because
And my principal also makes it easy.
she makes it. Yes. We love. Don't do that. We love them both. We love them both. We do.
I'm just like this. You know, if you come to the car ride line, you see the cars, it makes you rethink what am I doing with my life? Well, look at this. That is nice. Okay, that's what y'all do. Okay. Where your pencil at?
Yeah.
So if it's a valid concern with a parent and you contact me first, I'm fine. But knowing what goes on behind the scenes, and these kids are 8th graders and they went through COVID and they did all this stuff, and doesn't matter if they have the 6-bedroom house with the lounge at the top and the 89, screen TV, they still kids. So you can, like Bernie Mac says, you can join in or join out. Which one you trying to do?
Yeah, I feel that. And one last thing that I want to say on the topic is a lot of people don't think about the fact that I spend more time with your kid than you do. And so when it comes down to your understanding of what's going on in your kid's life, a lot of times mine is better than yours. And a lot of times these kids feel more comfortable going to their favorite teacher than they do to their parents. A lot of times the kids feel more safe with their favorite teacher and telling what the truth is and with their parents. So these kids go home and lie. They spend a whole lot of time lying. And so it's hard to establish that teacher-parent relationship because the balance of responsibility is a little bit off than what it is in their brain.
So speaking of parent contact, sorry, I'm chewing on my taco. Shout out to Tutoring Connection again for sponsoring today's episode and providing us with this amazing gringos.
They connect the education dots.
They connect the education dots. Did you just make that up?
Do we have a
That's yours.
We do have a website, www.thetutoringconnection.com.
And what contents do you specialize in?
The Tutoring Connection specializes in math and elite reading and writing. So you need to get your kids in.
But they know all
the trill math teacher.
I've heard the trill math teacher is trying to, make a little partnership, but we'll see. We'll see what she's talking about. Speaking of parent contacts, how many of you guys got that dreadful end of year? I've already turned my grades in. I've hit the submit button. I've printed out my proof sheet, signed off from the counselor, and the parent says, hey, I noticed that such and such has a 49 in your class.
Me.
What can they do?
It was
can
me,
they,
it was me.
It was you.
It was me.
It was me too.
It was
Anybody
me.
else?
Me too.
It was you too. What we gonna do about those? What y'all gonna do? Y'all
Well, I
let
can't say that I was. I did receive one of those emails about a parent who, after I submitted the grades, they wanted to say, "Hey, my child did A, B, and C. You need to change this grade." And at first I was like,
It's crazy.
I'm kind of petty Betty, so sometimes I'm like, no, no, your child is gonna get what they get. I haven't heard from you all year. Your child's gonna get their grade. But I will say that listening to one of your past podcasts, I believe it was Mr. Mysterious who said something like, "You have to lose the battle to win the war." And I was like, you know what?
I like
I
that.
have bigger things that I have going on for myself. There are some things that I have put in place that I'm hoping to come into fruition. So I'm like, you know what, parent? I'll change that 70 to a 73. You're welcome. Okay. I will change that grade. Okay. So I gave in a little bit.
Okay.
Just to shut them up. But yeah.
Okay. Did you give in to yours?
Giving in is subjective.
Oh Lord, here we go.
The parent was asking for a very high grade, and I made the grade high enough to where they didn't have to retake my class, because who want to do this twice?
That was nice of you. What made you? That's a big curve. That's a lot of, like I always call it, sprinkling magic pixie fairy dust on grades in order to make the magic happen. That sounds like a lot of dust you had to sprinkle.
Hear me out, right? Because we all about statistics over here.
Here we go.
Right? They asked for 20 points. I gave 5 points. So really, who wins? It's me. I win.
20 points on the final grade.
Ooh, honey, we don't want to get into the
Oh,
details.
okay.
We don't wanna get
So
into
can I give an example? So like if I'm sitting at a 30 for the yearly average, they ask for 20 points to make it a 50. Or if I'm sitting at a 50 for the yearly average, they ask for 20 to make it a 70.
So the yearly average was sitting at like a 65. They wanted the yearly average to be an 85 for NCAA reasons. And so we sat the yearly average at a 70, because what you're not going to do is send your child to school to not do nothing and act a fool, thinking that them cleats is going to get them somewhere. And think that I'm going to change some grades. Especially not with any pixie dust on your end. Because I got lots of pixie dust in my posit.
So let's talk about the pixie dust. And this is going to sound so terrible, but do you move quicker for parents that have shown appreciation for you?
Let me tell you something. If you're rude and nasty, I'm doing nothing.
Okay.
You earned what you earned. But if you're a kind parent and you're a kind student and you express your kindness in whatever love language you speak, I also speak that love language, and I will absolutely show the kindness in return. Like, what do you mean? Everybody likes to be loved.
Everybody looks, and I'm a words of affirmation person. And so when you speak your words,
I'm
to
an
me,
acts of service and gifts person.
As am I. So thank you for showing love during Teacher Appreciation, Christmas,
End
my
of year.
birthday, it's Groundhog's Day. Yes, I remember you. Thank you.
But I have a question. So
Spring cleaning.
I'm always torn between situations like that. Although I haven't had situations like that in a while, what do you do for those other kids?
the other kids that
What are the other kids?
That's like borderline. They probably have like that 65, but they need that 70 to pass. You bump them up
65 is crazy. I only look at 68s.
what
68,
you don't curve a 65?
No.
Wowzers. It depends on the child.
Me either. No, not a 65.
65 is crazy.
I mean, for high school, because credit.
65 is crazy. I said what I said.
What did we just go from? What grade? To a 70?
No. Wrong.
She said
Wrong.
a 70 to a 73.
No. They asked for an 85. The child had a 65 on the year, not on the 9 weeks. On the 9 weeks, the child sat at a 50 because that's
So
what
on
he
a
earned.
year. So at the
Yeah,
year,
on
they had a
the year.
65.
Now, granted,
70.
a lot of people here teach middle school. I teach a star-tested high school class. So whereas if you make a 65 versus a 70 for the year, in my class, you have to retake the entire year.
A 70?
If you make the 69, you have to retake the whole year. Whereas in some other classes, you can make what you make and you still going to high school. So the weight is a little different. And so I'll sit back and look at the year. I'm really telling my business, but I'll sit back and look at the year. And it matters, right? If you had some life going on the fourth 9 weeks, and I know that you had some life going on the fourth 9 weeks, but you're a great kid and you passed your STAR test, I'm not going to make you retake this class again with a different teacher because who knows what you're going to end up at. You know what I'm saying? But if you are not that kid, if you regularly fail your tests and you are not passing the STAR test and different things like that, it's different. It's all about what's going to benefit the child, in my opinion. Did you master the subject?
Did you take initiative? Did you come to tutorials?
Did you take
do any
initiative?
extra credit opportunities that I've given you? So when it comes to the time we have to look at the whole child and the whole subject.
And the whole class.
Okay, you may not have done so well on your test, but you were coming to tutorials on every Tuesday and Thursday trying your best. When I gave an extra credit opportunity, you took advantage of the extra credit opportunity. So that just shows me maybe you were just having a hard time, you're not a good test taker. Maybe the skills weren't transferring to the test. But I see that you were trying. I see that you were putting in effort because you were in my classroom every Tuesday, Thursday morning and doing all the extra credit. You were missing football practice in order to come to tutorials.
Snap.
So when a child like that, like you said, is sitting at a 65 or sitting at a 60 for the year, but I know they put in all the effort. They turned in every single thing they needed to turn in, and the grades just weren't grading. I'm going to look at tutorials. I'm going to look at extra credit. I'm going to look at if your parents send me an email with some words of affirmation.
I look forward to affirmation.
And I'm going to be like, yeah, you got it. You got it.
I had 13 extra credit opportunities last 9 weeks, and a child never took any of them. So
13? 13 is crazy.
13 is required because of the STAR, STAR test.
13 extra credit opportunities?
Every extra credit STAR tutorial. Every STAR tutorial was extra credit.
That's crazy.
I was just going to say, I think the child that you're talking about, you're saying that they took the initiative and they're doing all these things, they wouldn't be sitting at a 65. So I think at that point, they would be at minimum a 70 for those 9 weeks. So you wouldn't have to do a crazy 20 points.
I tell the kids all the time, I can't curve a zero. There's no curve on a zero.
This is true. I can't sprinkle magic pixie fairy dust
That
on
last message is brought to you by Giggles.
that was Giggles. Giggles just stuck in on us. So speaking of students and speaking of stories and podcasting, what we're doing right here, a topic that came up on social media this week with the whole teacher podcast that shall remain nameless that went viral and that is about to get canceled, and we'll talk off the air about that. So many people started putting in their stories about, no, it wasn't me. Thank God. That's why I'm making y'all be real careful. And DJ Francis, producer extraordinaire, we got to make sure that we watch these edits because that's what got them. They didn't watch their edits. All right. So, but people started making this big deal and all these hot takes on should teachers even have the platforms they do on social media to speak about the things that they are going through in the public education system or public school system? And then should teachers be able to monetize off of their trauma and the students' trauma? Now, when we say students' trauma, getting on your platform, whatever platform you may have, and saying, hey, in this art today, this child and this parent went through this, that today. And then that video going viral, but you're talking on the trauma that the parent may be experiencing in the art, the difficulties that the student is going through in the art, and you're getting on saying, today, this is what happened to me. So it's you're able to narrow down who you may be talking to. That video goes viral, and you make, I'm going to say, $100 off that video because it went viral that night.
Real quick, what got them canceled so I don't say it? Just real quick.
Oh, they said something really stupid. So we can get into it. So this teachers podcast, they're all teachers who are influencers who have now turned to comedians. And so
Some are still
current teachers. Some have left the profession, but now they've taken their talents on the road to do comedy. And so I think this episode they were talking about IEPs and special education students, which should be if you're going to talk about special education and IEPs, I feel like it needs to be objective, fact-based, okay? Not your inserting your feelings. But one of the comedians made a joke like, I love how we get to sit around in a meeting and talk trash about the kid, when they're sitting right there. And then he said something along the lines of, and they don't know what you're saying because they're D-U-M-B. And he spelled out D-U-M-B, right? Wow. And so all the rest of the people on the panel like, ha, 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 kick back and laugh like it was funny. And then he made a follow-up joke like, yeah, see, they didn't even know what I just spelled. That's how, and so that went off. And a set of moms, I talked about the Moms for Liberty last week before last. A set of moms, they get aggy, but a set of moms you do not want to piss off are moms of students with disabilities. And so that right there, it's been going crazy all week with the conversation. And you got man, it's been crazy. So I'm being very careful with what I say because some jokes you just don't make. But this particular panel of teachers, they all on their own individual platforms have brand deals, sponsorships. They are big time in the social media influencing world. And then they've come together to create a podcast which has an even bigger following. And so when you have a following of that magnitude, you have to be extra careful with the things that you're putting out there.
But do they have kids? Because that literally made me sick to my stomach.
Okay.
But do they have children?
I'm going to let y'all talk first. I'm going to be last. Go.
But you make sure you don't say anything that's gonna get me canceled.
Of course not. Of course not.
Oh, okay.
Of course not.
Hey, Mr. Mysterious is back here from the restroom. All right. So here's my thing. We talked about this on one of the episodes earlier. You have the right to say whatever you want, but the responsibility. As you said at the beginning, no face, no case. Now, my dad used to work somewhere with people who were paraplegic and quadriplegic, right? And people who had disabilities physically. So my thing is like this.
Cut his mic. I feel like this is really
No, you're going to be fine. You're going to
Okay.
be fine. I'm saying you have the responsibility of what you're saying. You have to know when in those upper echelons of dollar signs, what not to say. I get it. We're teachers, they're teachers. But we also have to be careful when we play this line of what can I say and not say and what you're going to hold me responsible to. I've heard politicians, I've heard many of people who work regular jobs, awesome jobs, cops and so forth, say all kind of things. And they were absurd, they were rude, but they were within their right to say what they want to say. I'm not saying they're monetized or not. That's something you as a speaker have to realize what you're doing. Now, if you're such a great speaker that you can make jokes and you don't get canceled, cool. But if you can, you have to watch that. And I have a child. I get it. But we have to be careful with this fine line of public speaking and free press because that is one of our rights as a citizen. I'm not talking about the responsibility. I'm talking about the right. Now, if you want more charge of what you do outside of me, outside of my contract, pay me more money. You know, pay me that money. I say this all the time in education. Pay me 6 figures and watch how I behave outside of the building. Pay me 6 figures minus insurance because they try to get you on that when they're like, you make 110, but that's like 45 with insurance. I'm good. So we have to be careful as a society on what we think is cool and fun to play with and what we hold teachers to the standard to. Because if I go to your social media, you cracking all the jokes. You making all the fun because some of the people are on my page, not the people you're talking about, but just parents and so forth. But all of a sudden, we're so holier than thou that a teacher's held to this standard, but yet you do not pay me that said standard that you want me to behave a certain way. So you can't.
I like that you're talking about that, and that's actually a topic that we're going to get into. So can you hold your thoughts?
I'll save
on
it
that?
for the later podcast.
Save it for the later podcast. Bio Babe, what you got? Because you giving him a stank face look like you don't agree with anything he just said.
Not that I don't agree with anything, just, okay, so I don't have any students with IEPs, but I do have 2 kids. And so to hear someone referring to general students with IEPs as DUMB, it makes me sick to my stomach because when you get into teaching, you're supposed to be teaching, you know, with compassion and understanding. And for someone to be an educator and refer to anyone's child in that, you know, regard makes me kind of sick. And also, if you're not going to have children in compassion, you should also have the third C, which is common sense. Because let me tell you my experience. I had one day that I was in a rush and little shawty parked in the handicap parking spot, and I got 2 phone calls to the district trying to figure out whose license plate was this in a handicap spot with no sticker. And it was one of those children, and it was my car. And I'm just saying, like, if you're going to pick anybody not to mess with, that's just not the community that you want to mess with.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to get back to your original question. Should we have outside with, you know, having our own life pretty much, right?
No, that's not the question. That's the segment we're going to get into later. Should teachers be able to monetize off of their trauma? Because this is the argument, right? Because now that this situation has come about, people are now saying, "Oh, well, teachers, influencers give me the ick. Teachers shouldn't be on here. Teachers, if they're going to be on here, they should just be telling all the happy sides of teaching, or they should just be dancing and entertaining us." So, should teachers be allowed to get on their platforms and talk about, like myself, the real shit that occurs in public education and monetize?
That's not monetizing trauma. That's monetizing ignorance. Calling a child DUMB is not trauma.
Not that
her original question.
So what they took that and went back to, this is why teachers shouldn't be allowed a platform at all. And y'all should not have a platform like me. Let's say, for instance, I made a series that had 5 episodes in it, probably last summer. But I talked about the time that I taught in the elementary behavior unit, and I ended up having to take FMLA. Like I FMLA'd my way out of resignation, but I told the story in 5 parts because I think I had like a certain time limit on TikTok back then, and those videos went viral. So people are saying you should not be able to profit from telling that story because what goes on in your classroom should be between you and your students in your classroom. Whereas I wasn't really talking about the student in detail. I was more so talking about my experience with this particular kid, how it affected me, how it impacted the other kids in my classroom. And so when you have teachers that are doing that, their videos are going viral. They're talking about their own trauma, the trauma that they've experienced dealing with certain students, certain school districts. Should they be able to profit from talking about their trauma? I think student trauma is off limits. That's my personal thing. But should teachers, if you wanted to get on the mic right now and say, man, let me talk to you about my life as a journalism teacher and all of the things that I deal with as a journalism teacher. Who phone going off in my podcast?
Not me.
Droid. It's Bigsby.
It's an Android. Ew. But should teachers be able to monetize off of that?
I get what you're saying, but what I'm more so saying is, at what point do you stop selling this? Putting a muzzle on us. My thing is, I agree. Certain things are just personal. And when I say personal, like you said, if I'm speaking on my experiences, my situations, why are you trying to keep a muzzle on me? I just wish that parents and outside supporters would hold their government as a high standard that they hold education to. Because, my thing is we monetize. What you say when you say...
monetize.
Monetize, excuse me. When you say that, like, what about all the politicians who get sponsors for, I represent this and I represent that, and can you donate to my campaign? At what point do you hold us to an accountability of that? Like, everything is so, teachers should be up here. We are not Jesus. We're not them. And we have a life outside of education. We have a life outside of your students. You do not run our, I'm sorry. I'm expressing my trauma.
She's getting emotional. She has some trauma.
And you also get into the next segment. So hold your thoughts.
Post-traumatic teacher disorder, PTTD. I say,
I have an agenda, and I want to follow my agenda.
Hey, I say monetize it, and here's why. I worked in the media for like 5 years, and you know what? Happy stories don't sell. Nobody starts off with the dog came to my house with the bone, and I found no. If you watch your news, you know what sells? Fire, murder, death, and we're acting like we're a society of happiness. And that's not true. That is not true at all. So I get it. Kids are off limits when it comes to trauma. We say no names. But if a teacher wants to talk about, hey, yesterday I had a hell of a day because I didn't get my conference because I didn't know that the conference is based on hours and not the day or the period, guess what? If I can get $100 off that, give me my hundo. Because you know what? Teachers have an audience. And those audience members, like anything, a target audience, your who, likes to have a connection. So your teacher trauma, whatever it may be, and it'll vary different classes, people want to hear it. And if people want to pay you for it, then so be it. You just must remember you have the right to say what you want, but you also have to be responsible when you use that right. So I have no problem if you monetize what you're going through at school as long as you use it to a way to benefit you in a smart way. Kids, get away from them, but hey, pay me.
All right, Beaumont's Finest, what you got?
I also agree with him. And also, I feel like people think that it's all fun and cute in our classroom. And I think they need to hear what really goes on in classroom. And sometimes need to hear, because it may be your kid, too, that we're talking about, that you don't realize that cut up at school and do that because they're not like that at home with you. So I think they need to see what really goes on and also the cute things. So, yes, get your money. Just don't say no names.
Okay. So I always promise the people that I'm going to get them out of here in a certain amount of time. And we always go over because we just be having some good conversations. So I want y'all to stick around so we can do a part 2. If y'all don't mind, we'll wrap this up in a part 2. So again, shout out to the Tutoring Connection for sponsoring today's episode. And hang around for part 2. This podcast was made possible by producer extraordinaire D. Francis at the legendary Lab 7 Studios in Mo City, Texas.